Howdy folks, welcome back to the bench. Big Green is back. That's what they say. And looking at my local Academy Sports and Outdoors store, that definitely appears to be the case. They have been getting a lot of this Remington Range Mega Pack ammo lately that is apparently coming out of the Lenoke, Arkansas Remington plant, where they have a big ammunition plant up there. So since it's pretty prevalent on the market lately, thought we'd take a look at it and compare it to some of the other stuff that is pretty common around. So starting off looking at the Remington 9mm Luger, 115 grain, full metal jacket for the range. Suggested uses are target practice, plinking, 250 centerfire handgun cartridges, proudly loaded in the USA by American workers. I think it's interesting they say loaded. Makes me wonder if they're sourcing components from elsewhere, but not a big deal. I mean, that's just something that kind of jumps out at me as being a little odd that they would phrase it like that. We see this is CIP spec ammunition, full metal jacket bullet, okay, first quality factory fresh brass, all right, clean bore priming, powder blended for consistent velocity. Okay, that's interesting because one of my problems with Remington years back was that I found it to have kind of an inconsistent report sometimes. That was more of the old Remington UMC, not this particular iteration. So it'll be interesting to see if they have a consistent velocity. And for the velocity, they are advertising 1,145 feet per second. So to compare that, you can see it here, it's a brass colored projectile, brass colored primer. Overall, it looks like good clean ammo. Nothing really much to say about it there. Interesting that they're using a brass colored projectile though. That's different than it was years back. Not sure when they made that change. We're going to be comparing it to some Monarch, which is Academy's branding of Pravi Partisan PPU out of Serbia. You can see it here. As is typical with it, they're very shiny. They do a nice job on the polish on these. It is a kind of light colored copper projectile and a sort of gold colored primer. Not really brass colored, very bright gold color. And they are advertising this as being 1,181 feet per second, 115 grain, full metal jacket. And does this not say it's CIP spec? Apparently it doesn't. That's interesting. I thought it used to, but oh well. MagTech out of Brazil, made by CBC. Don't ask me to say what CBC stands for because I do not have the knack down for Spanish pronunciation, so y'all that are Spanish speaking will have to forgive me. 115 grain, full metal jacket, 9mm Luger. Shot quite a bit of this, good stuff. CIP label on it. Yeah. A very copper colored projectile, a brass colored primer with that little, I don't know what you'd call it, like a cup symbol or something that just lets you know that it is a factory installed primer in that MagTech ammunition. Pretty good stuff. Used it for a number of years. I think this box is actually 2018 production, just like this S&B, Sellier Bellot, Sellier Bellot, if you want to get really fancy with it. Out of the Czech Republic. Yeah, we're shooting 2018 head stamp, brass colored projectile, very similar to the Remington, a little bit different profile. This is a little longer than the Remington is, or maybe just not see it as deep. Hard to say. Brass colored primer, good ammo. I usually find it to be loaded fairly hot, more on the upper end. So we'll see if that holds true. And then just some of my reloads here. It's a 115 grain berries plated flat point using Federal number 100 primers, Federal standard small pistol primers, and 0.37 cc's a tight group. Works out to about 4.5 grains if you weigh it. So let's go on to the range and see what kind of results we get on the chronograph, and if there's anything noteworthy to see. The testing today is going to be conducted with my SIG Sauer P210 American. It's stock as far as the barrel goes. It does have the Gray Guns flat trigger, the DPM recoil reduction system in it, and 10-8 sights. But the barrel is stock. It has 8-round mags, so we'll have a reload after the first 8 to get those last 2 rounds in for our 10-shot groups. Let's get to it. All right, going in with our 10 rounds of the Remington 115 grain. Monarch brand by PPU, 115 grain. MagTech 115 grain CBC. S&B 115 grain. And just for fun, here's some of my 115 grain reloads. Pretty mild target load here. All right, folks, what a wonderful day at the range that was. Just about 82 degrees, nice dry air, more so than usual for the southeast Texas climate, and a little bit windy, but overall, really nice out there, bright and sunny. Good day at the range. Let's see what we got for data from that. Remington, we came in with an average of 1,112 feet per second, which is a little bit below their claimed 1,145, but the P210 that we were shooting with only has about a 4 3/4 inch barrel, including the chamber. So maybe with a full 5-inch barrel, you would get the 1145. I think we can say that they're not being misleading in that it's pretty close. Standard deviation 16.98, which actually was the most extreme of the factory ammo. Spread of 72. Monarch came in with the second lowest velocity, but held its spread nice and tight, only a 29 foot per second spread on this data set. Standard deviation of a 10.56. That is pretty good. I mean, that is really impressive quality control and just holding manufacturing tolerance there. That's really, really good. MagTech also really pretty nice at 12.25 on the standard deviation. Spread of 40, not bad. Not bad at all. Average velocity, 1176. If you guys want to, you can probably zoom in and see the specific numbers or look back at the video. But let's go on to the S&B. Standard deviation, 13.57. So spreading out a little bit more, 49 foot per second spread. Average, though, of 1,214 feet per second. So it's really up there. I mean, only one of our data points actually fell below 1,200. So that is pretty impressive. And it holds true with what I kind of have known about it, that it tends to be a little bit hotter than some of the others out there. Interestingly, it also kind of shows that what I remembered about Remington from years back, since I haven't really bought any Remington ammo in probably 8 or 9 years, maybe even close to 10 years, is that it has a little bit of inconsistency to it. So that claim that they're blending the powder for consistent velocity, not quite so. And the only thing that was worse were my reloads. And that doesn't surprise me. With mixed brass, that's kind of what happens. You have inconsistency there in internal volume, hardness of the brass. So when you do your crimp, you're not necessarily always perfectly consistent. There is one number here that's a little funny on my reloads. It's 1,154, which is quite a bit above the average. And in the chronograph directions, they say that anything that's more than 4% off from average should be considered suspect. To me, it is suspect. It might be a bad reading for some reason. If we take those out, my standard deviation comes down to 20.5 or 20.49, which is still the worst of the bunch, but it is mixed brass, so that doesn't really surprise me at all. I think one possibility here, and I've dug around to find one, is it could be that I had a piece of Ammo Load brand brass. Can you guys see down in here? Which have these little step, it's a step inside of it that causes a reduction in the internal volume down there. It's supposed to be an anti-setback feature, I think, for their factory loading, but if not all of them are that way, it does cause a lesser internal volume and messes with your pressures a little bit. But I'm not playing with the maximum end of what is safe, so that's okay. But if you want to exclude that because you think it's the chronograph, then these are the numbers. If you want to exclude it because you think it's a piece of that, what is that, MagTech or whatever, what did I just say? Ammo Load. If you think it's a piece of Ammo Load brass, you can exclude it if you want to, but these are the numbers as collected. So just depends on what you want to do with that. Doesn't surprise me, though, with mixed brass that it wouldn't be as consistent as factory ammo. So, ranked by velocity, S&B, way up there. CBC right behind, just a little bit less. PPU, a little less than that. And Remington, a little less than that. And, of course, my reloads come in at the bottom, since that's just a plated bullet instead of full metal jacket. We're not trying to really push velocity with those. Standard deviation, PPU did a great job. That Monarch ammo really did nicely out of the data we collected today. My mixed brass reloads are the worst. Remington didn't do as well as the other brands. MagTech 12.25, S&B 13.57, and of the factory choices there, Remington came in last, 16.98. So it's the lowest average velocity. It is the highest standard deviation. Now, did it work fine? Yes, it did. It felt consistent in recoil. I didn't have any problems with it. As far as accuracy goes, it was shooting fine. I didn't really notice anything noteworthy to say on accuracy from any of these. They all performed well given the conditions. The wind was kind of battering me a little bit, so I wasn't putting up my tightest groups ever today. And it's not rested. I mean, you can't really collect too meaningful of data shooting freehand like that. So that's about all I had for you folks. I think if you want to shoot that at the range, it is just fine. Worked great for me today. It isn't as consistent as some of the others. It isn't as high a velocity as some of the others, but it worked well. And if that's what's available to you, I think it's good ammo that will satisfy your needs. So thanks for watching, folks. Check back again for more videos. And if you like this kind of stuff where we get all technical and run the numbers, like and subscribe, because we dig into stuff pretty often on this channel. So have a good one. Thanks for watching.